I'm 37 and I'm happy. Such a pretentious start. Okay. I'm happy most of the time. I have family, friends, I love my job. I make a decent amount of money, not being forced to work long hours and deal with assholes. After all, I live in Singapore, for God's sake. It wasn't always like that. If I met myself in my early 20s, I would ask me to tweak a couple of things. So let me share with you what I would tell myself if I was sent back in time to kill Sarah Connor. No, it's a different story.
I'll be back.
Okay, Max, listen to me, buddy. Don't go to university, or at least finish at the bachelor. No need to do masters on top. I graduated as an engineer in electronics and mechanics. I spent freaking 5.5 years getting knowledge, 95% of which I never used in my life after it. The last 1.5 years were even more frustrating as my day-to-day job was literally preparing for tests and exams. It's actually two different skills: deeply learning a topic and passing the exams. I wish I was more conscious when choosing my life path after high school. I could do a gap year traveling, exploring different life choices and obtaining more useful real-life experiences like surviving while hitchhiking in Mexico. Or I could spend these 5.5 years trying to do my first business or getting an apprentice job with someone I respect in a field that is interesting for me. These 5.5 years of real experience would give me a huge boost in my professional career and make me more mature much faster. And maybe it would make me happier. But more importantly, if I was younger, I would subscribe to this channel like right now. Learn personal finance as early as possible. My parents are great, intelligent people, but they never taught me about money. My dad was a military sergeant, not a businessman. For most of his life, he worked during the Soviet Union era, so he didn't need to worry about money as the salary was stable and perks like free housing, a school for kids were settled. When I became older myself, I should have learned about personal finance more. It was my responsibility to figure out how to do budgeting, savings and investments. And if I did so early in my life, I wouldn't be in debt from time to time borrowing money from my friends. But once I almost became rich, I received an email from my Nigerian uncle I never knew about, and he said I was eligible for $15 million of his capital. Can you imagine that? But after some emails back and forth, he stopped replying to me back. At the time of my 20s, there were good books about personal finance, for example, The Richest Man in Babylon. It's very basic but great for beginners. And now it's much easier to find the right info. On YouTube there are plenty of great channels like Graham Stephan, Andrew Jig, etc. Always look for your passion. First few years of my career I was doing work that I didn't really like. At the same time I was passionate about the film industry. If I could go back, I would definitely focus more on my passion and find ways to develop this into at least some side project. I could do this thing, for example. The truth of life is, carefully now me listen to, it's never gonna be the perfect moment to start following your dreams. You might think, oh, I save enough money first, or I raise my kids first, or something else. It's not the case. You always start in not the ideal conditions. With the lack of money, lack of time, lack of support, you should use as many resources as you have at this particular moment. And I'm not talking about quitting your job straight away and burn all the bridges. I mean that you must start to look for your passion and take a little steps toward it. Otherwise, what's the point?
What's the point?
Build a network of people in the niche you want to grow in. Another thing which I would do differently is to be more cautious about the people I'm surrounded with. When I was younger, I didn't think much about who I want to spend time with, what kind of friends I wanted to have, and in which area I wanted to grow my professional network. This is critical. People around us affect us a lot, even if we don't realize it. Until I think maybe 27, 28 years old, my social circle consisted of mostly engineers and corporate job guys. I didn't have any entrepreneurs or bloggers in my social circle. Alright. There were not so many bloggers at that time. But anyway, if I started to look for people in, let's say, filmmaking or Entrepreneurs, I'm sure I would switch to my present career much earlier. And don't get me wrong, it's nothing bad about having engineering or corporate friends. I still have many of them in my life. I love them and we spent so many great moments together. After all, we are friends. But to grow professionally and personally, you also have to surround yourself with people from the industry you want to be in. Build the right habits instead of over-planning your goals in life. This one is not very obvious, as you often hear, dream big, set ambitious goals and go for them. Yes, it's important, but we are often lost on the way, not because our desires are not set, but because we didn't develop the right set of everyday habits. And I made this mistake as well when I was in my 20s. Let's say you want to be a great writer. Your dream can be to write a New York Times best-selling book, sell 100,000 copies and then die as a legend. Okay, maybe we remove the last part. The goal is great, but only as a starting point. From now on, far more important would be to sit down and write for 30 minutes every single day for the next 3 years. And that routine will increase your chances drastically compared to just a big idea, which again is also important. Now it's time for my confession. I lied to you. I don't regret anything. What happened before is already in the past, and I prefer to think about the future. After all, life is a long road anyway. Of course, if you exercise and eat enough vegetables. See ya!